This is for me the last one of these 8 sessions. So I thought also to do a little like summary, like bring things together a little. And of course, these sessions will continue with other Buddhist teachers. So that's you won't be on your own. But let's take a moment to start with a couple of minutes of silence and building up our motivation. So please join me. I just take a moment to relax the body. Feel your sit bones on the seat. Your legs supporting you. Your back straight with a gentle curve, but quite straight. Allowing the energy to flow through. Your shoulders relaxed. For meditation, we usually have the hands in the lap, right on top of the left, and the thumbs lightly touching each other. Back of the neck is slightly stretched, so your head is tilted forward a tiny little bit, basically stretching the back of the neck. Tip of the tongue can be behind the upper teeth. And eyes closed or half open, gazing downwards, reducing distractions. And you can go and give your attention to the tactile sensation caused by the breath through the rising and falling of the abdomen. Now let's generate a positive motivation. You can check for yourself why you're here, what you want to get out of this session. What aspirations or goals do you have for this next hour? And just notice your own answers to these questions. And then check your responses. Do they include your wish to be a more happy, more peaceful person? Are you concerned with your own happiness and well-being? All of us want to be happy, whatever that may mean for us. All of us want to avoid difficulties and suffering. This is universal, from the smallest being to the largest. Human being or animal, doesn't matter. If these aspirations and goals that have arisen for you actually come to pass, consider what effect that will have on you. Will you be a happier person? A better person? And if these goals and aspirations come true, what effect will that have on others? Will they experience more happiness in their lives? Will something better happen for them? Just as you want to be happy and want peace of mind, greater well-being in your life, the exact same is true for others. So let's expand our motivation, our aspiration, to include the well-being of others, those around us, those near us, and even those further away. See if you can rephrase your aspirations to expand them so they include the welfare of others as well as your own. Let's bring back any motivation. We return our attention to the here and now. You may open your eyes again. So yeah, welcome again. So my name is Margo and Greta, and we are focusing today on be your own therapist. Looking at dealing with difficult situations, difficult emotions. So we've been doing that for a couple of weeks. So I just wanted to bring things together a little bit, to have like a little summary or overview or recap what we've done. So, but maybe I'll start with asking you. So, from the sessions that you've done so far and your own meditations, in general, what things have you found useful in dealing with, you know, difficult situations, difficult emotions? Is there any key thing that stood out for you? Maybe something from the teachings or just something that happened? Yeah, Erica.
Hi. Well, one thing that I found very useful was to when we studied about the conflicts with other people and how to deal with it, and for me, trying to understand other people's point of view, sometimes trying to control my own response, because sometimes we know that the other person is not completely responsible for the situation, but sometimes we just lash out at them. So it's something that I found useful.
Great. Yeah. Fantastic. That's great. Thank you.
I mean, it's something that it's a goal that we have. It's not something that we control completely, but it's something that it's just to be aware of that. It's
Yeah.
a first step.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Thank you for mentioning that, because that is like an awareness that then you can practice and, again and again in your life. So I think that's very important. It's a classic. So thank you for bringing that in. That's great. Any others? Anything else? Anyone finds helpful?
I think it was last week where you talked about my time, my sense of time is off. So it's like, I think last week you spoke about attachment.
Right.
And when I think about it, like all of my problems stem from that. Like, when I have this anxiety or depression or, frustration, there's always some aspect of attachment to something that I have to work on. So that's something that keeps coming up for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. That's again a very key aspect, because attachment is one of they call the root poisons, the root of things that keep us in our problems, to circle around in samsara, they call it. And so that's another very important one. Buddha also calls us our type of life, or our type of life on planet Earth. He says we are in the desire realm. That's where we live. That actually everything is infused with attachment, desire, wanting things. That sense of, if I only had this, then I'd be happy. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Yes, so I just wanted to mention a few that I find that sort of to bring them together. So some like general themes or topics to use when there are problems coming up. So problems can be, we say the three root problems are anger, attachment, and ignorance. That is, according to Buddhists, that is the key. And then from that, all the others, or like attachment, desire is one of them, anger or aversion or irritation or hatred, or that whole range is one of them. And then ignorance, like not knowing how we exist. That is actually the one that everything goes back to. So some of the key helpful habits or attitudes. One is, I think, thinking about impermanence. I find that one very important one, that whatever we experience, it won't last forever. I think often, when we're in a difficult situation, in a conflict, in a health situation, in any situation at work, in the family, wherever, we think like this is so huge, it's never going to go away. This is the whole world. My whole world is this problem. And in a way, reflecting on it and going like, things will go. We've had problems in our lives, and we have lived through them. We've moved through them, or learned from them, or made different decisions, or whatever. And this is another one. And, tomorrow it will look different, or we will find solutions, and to see them as part of life, part of these waves of lives, all these ups and downs, rather than, oh, this is this big problem that's only I have, nobody else has this problem, and it's just me. To actually see it as part of life and see it as think of impermanence. That is like a key Buddhist topic to reflect on, that everything changes. Here it's autumn here, I don't know where you live, but here it's autumn. The trees are getting yellow and red, and leaves are falling off the tree. That's not a problem. That is just part of life. And in spring, you'll see them grow, the leaves growing again. So all of these things, just like the trees lose their leaves. Also in our lives, we will have our ups and downs. So that can be a helpful something to remember. Another, I think it's very key tool to have. I mean, when I started studying Buddhism, when I heard these teachings on karma, suddenly I took my pen and notebook out and I started to make notes. I found the topic of karma like extremely helpful. It's karma, so it's the law of cause and effect. So basically, everything we experience in our current life, when any good thing, when we have a roof above our head, when we, have 3 meals a day, when we have some friends or maybe a job or something positive happening, some people liking us, anything we have in our lives, good health, anything we have in our lives, we've created the karma for, the cause and effect. We've created the causes for to have this effect and to experience this effect. So this is with all the good things, all the positive things in our lives. And this is also with the difficult things. So when we have that conflict or that person that seems to be the difficult person who makes me unhappy, or this life situation, something happens at work or with your house or the health or anything that happens, to not say like, well, this is just, I'm just unlucky, but to actually think of, wow, somewhere in one life, I have created the cause for this to happen. I find it very empowering, because then also it's not that we have to blame the universe or so. It basically is like, just simply an effect that is following a cause that somewhere in our mind stream have been created. It also follows that if we want in the future, in this life or our next lives, Buddhists deal with next life, so I sort of include that. If we want to be happy, if we want to be peaceful, if we want to be loved, we want to have positive things in our lives, we need to create the causes for that to happen. So I think it's very empowering to actually think like that. So sometimes, the law of karma, sometimes when we don't understand it, we can think it's fatalistic and you have bad karma, you can't do anything about it. But that's not the case at all. When we have unfortunate circumstances arising that make us unhappy, then we can do something. We can allow that experience to happen and think, wow, somewhere in my life or in a past life, I've created the cause for this problem, this issue, this difficulty to arise. So now when it is ripening, it's gone. It's actually very freeing. It's gone. And when I don't retaliate and not, hit back or yell back or not continue that same pattern that caused this problem to ripen, then I'm free from this problem. Hey, that's pretty good. So that is a way where this whole concept of karma can be very helpful. And I really like that. That's, it's always been very helpful. So this one of the supportive tools. Another one that is very helpful is compassion. So when we have a problem, a conflict, a difficulty, something is happening that we're not happy with, we find painful, annoying, hurtful. Often our world can get so small and say, oh God, me and my problem, that's the whole world, me and my problem. Instead of thinking, there are other people with the same problem than me. There are other people with relationship problems or financial problems or family problems or health problems or problems at work or, whatever our difficulties are, dealing with anger, dealing with jealousy, dealing with laziness, dealing with attachments, all these things, we are not the only one. And where compassion comes in is to then actually generate a sense of compassion, both for ourselves, like, gosh, look at me, I'm having this problem, to actually give compassion to ourselves instead of beating ourselves up, like, oh, here is me again, terrible me with my problem. Why haven't I still not learned dealing with this? I don't know if you know that one. Why am I still not free from this problem? To actually give compassion to ourselves, like, okay, I'm learning, I'm doing my best. And also at the same time to open it up, like, well, if I'm in a family crisis or a situation, to think, I think there are other people with family issues, or there will be other people with health issues or financial issues or whatever we're dealing with. And to actually generate a sense of compassion for these other people who are dealing with that same or similar issue that we are dealing with. So that can give more space and more expansion. So these are like general things that can help, sort of all of our problems. And the final one that I just want to mention here, because I also want to do a meditation. The final one is the wisdom of emptiness. Now, this is a huge topic, and I'm sure there are much better teachers around to explain it all in great detail, because this is like a key concept of Buddhism, and not always easy to understand or to integrate. But basically, with teachings of emptiness, and using emptiness as a method, as being our own therapist, dealing with our own problems. You're going to look at, like, where is this I that is experiencing this problem? When you're in a conflict or some difficulty, where's this I that is me? I'm having this problem. Here I don't know, I'm being stressed out about something, and it's me being stressed out. That's the problem. So then you can go and analyze, like, where's that me? Is it in my arm, in my left hand, or in my right hand? Is it in my knee? Is it in my toe? Is it in my nose? Is it in my stomach? Is it the top of my head? Where is that I? Is there a place in the body? Where is that I that is stressed out? And if you can't find it in the body, then you check the mind, the consciousness. Is there one place in the consciousness? Is that this is the I that is experiencing this problem? Then in a way you can see, when you do any bit of meditation, you see the mind, things come and go all the time. There are thoughts, there are feelings, there are memories, there's something for the future, something about the past, something about now, a bit of happiness, a bit of unhappiness. These things come and go. There is not like one bit of mind that is like eternally stressful. Maybe sometimes it feels like it, but when we look realistically, these feelings, whether it's the stress or the anger or the attachment or depression or any of these things, they come and go. So there is no solid I that is experiencing these difficulties. There is also no solid other person, like it's always this one person. Sometimes we have people in our lives who trigger us and who annoy us or we find difficult to deal with. But when we look at our life as a whole, it's not always that same person for, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, however long we're on this planet. It's not always like that. Sometimes a person who annoys us now, maybe a year ago, they were extremely friendly to us, really kind and helpful and lovely. Things change. So there is no solidity in either in ourselves or in then the people who seem to cause the problems for us. So that is the reflection on emptiness. And this is a big topic. I, wouldn't dare to go into that. Just give a little pinpointer to that topic. So these are some of the yeah, some of the tools, some of the methods that that can help. So one bit of advice that is part, that I would like to give, and that is part of this course, is to actually look at challenges, difficulties, challenges, and actually reflect on them. When there is a problem that seems to be a huge problem, is it possible, maybe at the end of the day, to take a couple of minutes and reflect on that issue and find out, are there other ways to deal with that? So, yeah, and I'd love to lead you into a meditation, but are there any questions or comments at the moment? Any thoughts? Yeah, no? Okay. But then I would love to, yes, Magdalena.
Yeah, hi. My question is, okay, if there's no solid I, so all the, in German we say Ich Anteile, like the parts of the I that I am. Like on one hand, I want this, but my other me or I says, oh no, but I want that. So, or my inner child with the wound, or my adult, or my wise one. And so, my question is, all these parts of the I, like, are they not like do they not form the solid I?
Well, they don't use the word solid I, because in a way, one of our problems is that we tend to think of ourselves as very solid. I am here, I am sitting on this chair, this is sort of my room today. It's not really, because it's not my house, but this is my room, this is my life, this is my problem, this is my nose, this is my everything. We have the tendency to make everything very solid. So the whole thing with emptiness is that we see that we are not as solid as we think we are. That is the difference between what I call our perceived reality and the ultimate reality, that they are different. We think I'm a solid me, I'm sitting on this solid chair in this solid house, and I have a solid life with a solid job and a solid, this and a solid circle of friends. That's it. We tend to make our experience of life quite solid, and we seem to have a need to do that. I think we have more like a habit of, this is what we've learned. When you get born, you're born, probably your parents or somebody tells you, this is you are Magdalena. That's it. That's who you are. Fixed. It's not, you're not Mary or Johnny or somebody else. This is who you are. And we have the tendency to then believe in that. And then in a way, to be attached to that identity and maintain that. So then when all the ups and downs of life happen, we get shocked and upset and depressed or angry, etc. So that is in a way what they say. So if you say like, yes, I have, this part of me and I have that part of me, in a way that is pointing towards more of the truth, how Buddhists understand it. So, well, we have all these different parts. We have a very sweet and lovely part. We have an angry part. We have maybe a sad part. We have a very cheerful part. We have a very efficient and effective part, and all of that. That's who we are. But that's different from how we tend to think we are. So that is the difference when we analyze it, and when we run to the bus and say, I must catch that bus, then we are more into that place of being fixed. I don't know if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a big topic, and it's very interesting to actually explore that. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm thinking about what you were saying about karma and the things of past behavior causing current problems.
Yes.
I I see what that's getting at in a positive sense, but it also seems to me that what that brings to mind for me is a very negative sense of like the idea of blaming the victim. Like you brought this on yourself, it's your fault that I hurt you kind of thing. How is this different from that?
It doesn't, karma is not like pointing towards a fault. Karma is very neutral. So when sometimes I can compare it to, for example, the law of gravity. So if we have, if we have an item, I have a scarf here, and we know there is a law of gravity. When I let the scarf go, it will fall. Plop, it's on the floor. It's not that it's punished. The scarf isn't punished. That now, oh, that has done something bad. It's on the floor. There is a law that's called gravity, and because of that, things where you have something in your hand, you drop it, it falls on the floor. So yes, I think it's a good question because it could be used to blame the victim, but this whole concept of karma itself, it's very clean, and it is a law, just like the law of gravity is there. There is no punishment there. So the law of cause and effect is also there. The way I like using it, it is good to use it in a way when we are in a relatively stable state and actually think about it. It's not the place to think we're in a huge depression and everything is going bad and then, start learning about it. But I find it very helpful to actually consider that and look at that. Like for me, the things in my life started to make sense since I started to get teachings on karma. For me, things started to make sense and fall into place. Like, wow, that's interesting. So it's not meant to blame the victim, not at all. Yeah, absolutely not. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but even if it's a neutral thing, how does that not justify injustice?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good question. Yeah. That's a good question. That's a question I have often had, and I still have. I think that is a very good question. I think for me, using the karma, the theme of karma, I use it very much individual. So in my life, how can I make sense about the problems in my life? I know that I don't use it when I think of little kids in Africa who are, dying of hunger, or people now in the Ukraine who are in a war situation, all these many situations. I use it very much in the context of, being our own therapists, like dealing with our own mind and dealing with our own problems to actually learn, like, why I'm in this situation, why I have these, difficulties, challenges in my life. Are there some tools that I can deal with? I'm not using it to say, oh, well, these kids in Africa, it's all their own fault, tough, that's absolutely not what it's for.
Okay,
So, and yes, of the bigger issue, that's a huge topic. Tell me all about it. So it's a big topic. Yeah.
okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you ready to do a little meditation on replaying a difficult situation? So if you want to take a moment again to go inside. And connect with your body. And notice your breathing. Remember your motivation that you created earlier on. And then reflect on any experiences you've had during the day or during this week, the past few days. In particular, any interactions you've had with others. And focus especially on any difficult situation that may have arisen. Situations in which you may have been impatient, short-tempered, in which you have seen others as a problem or a difficult person or even an enemy. Maybe situations where you may have lashed out at others verbally or even in your mind. As you remember those memories, keep in mind that, in fact, this situation is now over. You're simply experiencing memories of that situation. Memories of something that's already gone and in the past. Keeping this in mind, bring one specific situation into your mind. Remember what happened in detail from beginning to end. And as you replay this situation, watch and observe your mind and your behavior. Use all the techniques that we've learned to deal with this situation. Use any methods you've learned in mindfulness practice, being aware and disidentify with the feelings that arise. Just simply see them coming and going. And take a moment to think about the disadvantages and the harmful nature of the negative responses that took place during that event. Think about how you felt while you were impatient or angry. Are you happy, comfortable, relaxed, or at peace? The angry feeling led to angry words or actions. What effect did that have on you? What effect did it have on others? Did it make those around you happy? Did it make the situation easier? Did any angry behavior help to bring the situation to a more positive solution? Any angry words or even thoughts help everyone, yourself and others, to feel good and understand each other better. We most likely can agree that impatient and angry words and actions only bring harm to ourselves and others, and that we feel terrible. We don't feel happy and relaxed or comfortable or at peace. They make others angry as well, cause them distress and upset. So come to a clear conclusion with regard to harmful and negative effects of impatient and angry words and behavior. Now think about how you might have handled the situation differently, with a calm and balanced and open attitude, without anger or impatience or resentment. Think about how your experience, other experience, if you had been able to respond in that situation with good humor, with kindness, lightness, so that rather than the situation becoming heavy and difficult, it stayed light and pleasant, easygoing. Consider just how absolutely amazing it would be to be able to manage difficult situations just like this, with a calm and peaceful mind, uncontrolled by anger and agitation. Now I invite you to replay the entire situation in your mind, from beginning to end, imagining it completely different. Relive that situation in your imagination and imagine yourself responding perfectly with warmth and openness towards the others present, calm and balanced. Imagine in detail how the situation might have played out in this totally different way. Is the outcome different? How would you feel about yourself at the end of the exchange? Pleased or disappointed? What kind of experience do the others have in this replay, positive or negative? Let's take a couple of minutes now to imagine the situation very differently and reflect on it. Now, having done this reflection, make a strong determination within yourself that the next time you encounter difficulties that test your patience, you'll take a breath and step back, observing your mind and disengaging from those spontaneous negative reactions. Instead, you will choose to try to respond with openness and patience, just as you did in your meditation. If you're able to imagine yourself responding in this way, then you're able to actually do it. In addition, make a strong determination that each time you find yourself responding with impatience or agitation or anger in the future, you'll practice the same meditation afterwards in order to gradually overcome these habits and responses, and gradually train the mind to respond with kindness, balance, and patience. To transform your interactions with others from negative to positive is an extraordinary beneficial thing to do. And take that experience, that feeling with you. You gently shift your attention to the here and now. You take a few deeper breaths. You move your shoulders or wriggle your toes or stretch. When you're ready, open your eyes. Return to the here and now. So let's just create some space or any reflections. How was it to do this? I see a heart appearing, so I suppose that's in response. So let's just create a bit of space. Anything you'd like to share from your experience from this meditation?
I found it very valuable because just this morning I had an experience of reacting instead of responding in a mature way to my dad. Because long story short, he was just like being impatient toward me to answering a text message. And instead of responding, I was just like, no, like I'm just not ready to respond right now. Like I'll call you instead of texting when I'm available. But during the meditation, I was thinking of a moment from this past weekend, and it was just really nice to envision myself going about a situation in a more patient manner and more loving manner. So I just have a question though. So what if you respond in I forget how you explained it, but basically in like a patient or an open-minded way, rather than out of anger and impatient way. What if you respond that way, but then the other person responds still in an angry, impatient way back?
That's the classic. I think that's the advanced method, because in a way we don't know, how the other person is, are they doing Buddhist courses and do they learn about be your own therapist? And we don't know if the other person is doing that. Often there is a much higher chance when we deal with patience and kindness and, friendly and understanding and compassion, there is a much bigger chance that the other responds and goes like, okay, of course. And sometimes they don't, or sometimes not yet. And I think, you mentioned your father. I think especially in family situations, we have so much history with each other. With years of experiences. So it's possible that there is no immediate response. In a way, I come back to this karma thing. We don't know our karma. We don't know how complicated our relationship is. Often, sometimes we do something kind and friendly, and there is an immediate response. Somebody else melts and is also kind and friendly to us. And sometimes not. That is one of the challenges of life. And I call it the advanced practice. Then we can think, oh, they're not ready to, relax or be kind or compassionate or let go of previous difficulties we've had between us. Wow, so I need to be extra careful, extra mindful, put extra effort in the situation. So that happens, yeah. You're not the only one. Yeah, I call it the advanced path to, then keep working on that. You can look to His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and the whole Tibet-China issue. He has been patient for years and years, and it still remains very difficult. But then he doesn't throw up. He said, I've been patient with you for, 50 years or more. Enough. So in a way, that is a great example to see where someone is very kind and wise and loving and caring, and the response is just, remains extremely harsh and brutal. So as practitioners, as Buddhist practitioners, then we can actually say, we need to continue practicing. I don't know. That's what I can say. How does that sound?
Oh, it is very helpful. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah.
To think of like someone who's in an even more bigger, like mentioning the Dalai Lama, like that just makes me feel like my problems are smaller, but they're all still valid. Everyone's.
Yeah, there is this saying like never give up. There's a picture, it used to go around on Facebook or so in Buddhist groups, like never give up, even when our opponents or the people in our life are very, very difficult to deal with. Never give up. There are all these stories of to young Tibetan nuns who had been in prison, in the Chinese prison for 20 years because they sang a song about freedom and, have been abused and all these things. They came out of prison and they traveled through Scotland, where I live, and they actually shared some of their experiences. And then they said, I was really making a huge effort not to give up my compassion for the Chinese, for the torturers who did not respond, kindly to their kindness. But they still said, I need to keep doing this. So, yeah.
I don't know if this is okay to share or not, but my mom and I used to have a dynamic that had a lot of conflict. And I realized at some point that we were both contributing to it. And as I became more mindful of it, there was like a kind of a typical exchange between us, and I didn't participate in it. And she continued on with the conflict. And I said, but I didn't say that. And when it like became obvious to her that this was just her, like I wasn't sharing in this, we had a shared delusion of this conflict. And when I didn't participate in it, it was like watching a balloon deflate because it was just, there was no like basis for the conflict. But initially she wanted to hold on to that conflict. Yes. And even like fabricated my part in it because it was so predictable.
Yes.
And I realized that sometimes I do that with other people. Like I actually see things that really they're not contributing, that I'm the one contributing to it.
Yes.
So I don't know if that helps with your dad or not, but like there are times when I just refused to argue with her that she couldn't accept it. And then when
Yeah.
she did, it was like it was really something.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I think that's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. No, very, very wise. Like the balloon, it dissolves, it suddenly dissolves. Yeah. It's a great image. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely. Wow. Anyone else? Another final comment or experience? No. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'll take my time. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, what I notice in situations I'm in, also like with family members, yes, of course, it's more intense. That in those moments I forget all these practices and I forget to remind myself, and so very often I find myself back in situations where I've been before, and so yeah, it's for me, what I notice is it's hard for me to really taking a step back and really taking a deep breath. When I'm able to do it, it's really empowering. It's really, really wonderful. But the point of like really knowing, oh, here it comes.
Yeah.
Breathe and go back and go inwards. And
yeah. So that is why I think, thank you. That's a great point. I think we all, many of us have that. I mean, I have it. That's why it's called a spiritual practice, is a practice. That's why the advice is to actually, for example, do this exercise we did now, reflecting back at the end of the day, to do that every day. Not to wait until we're, another big conflict or a huge drama, but in a way, like every day, at the end of the day, take, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long you have, to say, okay, it's the end of the day. Just check my day, any like tricky situations there, and they go, oh yeah, that one. And then you take a moment, see what happened, how did you respond? How could you respond differently? So that, and to actually, then it becomes more of a habit to actually do it every day. And then when the moment is there where you have like a big clash, because in my experience, there are like little clashes, little situations, and there are the big ones. So if we practice them with the more smaller ups and downs of life, so then when there is a bigger conflict, maybe then we can, in the middle of that conflict, see like, oops, here I'm going again. I'm about to do that and that again. And can I stop it? But to actually practice on a daily basis. There are many methods in Buddhism, but this is like, one of them, to actually reflect at the end of the day and like, hey, can I replay it in a different way? So you may want to try it out for a week or a couple of weeks and see what happens.
Yeah, that's thank you so much for like saying that, like, because I think that's really the point, like to make it a daily positive practice or habit, and so that the
Oops, I think we're losing you.
we are in the bigger pardon.
I think we lost you. You were frozen for a while.
Yeah, I saw before that the connection was like when you were talking, it was, and I wasn't sure, is it my connection or yours? Okay. It's mine. Good to know. Yeah, I think it's a very amazing advice. Let me say that what you said, that like to have this, for example, this meditation you did before, I really like that, to have this, to make it an everyday and daily practice, because this is really, yeah, my issue, let me say, like not having this daily practice, because this is really like how we can teach our mind.
Yes,
And yeah. Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
my pleasure. So, well, I think we're coming towards the end of our sessions. I just want to thank you all for being here and participating in this. So this type of session, Be Your Own Therapist, I think it will continue next week, but then with other teachers. And I might be back at some point, who knows? I have no idea. But I just want to appreciate you all for being here. And I would like to dedicate the positive energy. That's another method we use. So let's take a moment to look at our session, see how we feel now. And let's dedicate the positive energy and results of this meditation and this whole session, so that all our interactions with others, small or large, may always be positive. May bring greater happiness to ourselves and others. That our interactions may never cause any harm, but only bring greater peace and happiness and benefit to this world. May there be peace, peace on this planet and peace in the hearts of all beings, ourselves and others. Thank you.